If you're incredibly wealthy and you want to go around boasting to everyone that you've got a 6.9 incher stashed in your shorts, then you can't go far wrong with Samsung's fresh new Galaxy Note 20 Ultra. This bad boy will set you back the rather princely sum of £1,179, and that's just for the entry-level model as well. But it packs some very premium tech, some very clever features, and of course Samsung's excellent S Pen. Now refined and better than ever. And that's enough for me banging on. Let's just whip it out the box and take you on a full-on tour of the hardware and the software. And for more of the latest greatest tech, please do plug subscribe and ding that notifications bell. Cheers! Now, as usual, of course, the Note 20 smartphones are all about that S Pen stylus, so it's no surprise that Samsung has chosen to highlight that on the box. There's the phone itself, as I mentioned before, £1,179 for the 256 gigs model. Otherwise, if you want to double the storage, that'll cost you an extra £100. So we'll check out the phone in a second. Let's just see what else your grand and a bit buys you. So you've got your super fast charging adapter. This is a 2-pin effort because it's a European review model, but of course, if you buy it here in the UK, you'll get your 3-pin effort. You've got your Type-C USB cable to go along with that. Exciting times. And you get a bundled pair of Type-C earphones as well, which is quite nice because you don't actually get a headphone jack, unfortunately, on the Note 20 Ultra, like with a lot of other premium smartphones. AKG branded earphones, as you can see there. You got your rubbery tips, so hopefully they'll be nice and comfy. Although Samsung has very kindly sent me a new pair of their Buds Live as well, so I'm going to be testing those out. Stay tuned for my full review of these. And that's everything that Samsung has chucked in the box for you. So sadly, you don't get a bundled condom case in there for a bit of added protection. Although thankfully it is constructed from the latest Gorilla Glass Victus, which can apparently survive drops of up to 2 meters without taking any damage. And that's actually as tested out by Conan's Mega Slapper. No, I didn't make that up. That's actually the name of this here testing machine. Now, early impressions of the Galaxy Note 20 Ultra. Yes, it is an absolute behemoth at almost 7 inches. So fans of big phones will definitely be right at home. If you prefer more compact devices, then obviously this ain't going to be for you. But you know what? At just over 200 grams, it doesn't have too much of a heft to it. It actually looks like it should be an absolute brick when you pick it up. It doesn't feel too bad at all in the hand. As far as the construction goes, though, it is a little bit creaky, which is quite unusual for a smartphone that costs well over £1,000. So if I was to go like this, you can hopefully hear that it's sort of creaking and clicking a bit as I move it up and down. And I think that's just to do with the way that the front end and the back end are joined together. It's not quite 100% perfect. Anyway, if any neighbours look in through the window and see me doing this, they'll probably think, what the hell is that guy up to? So I'm going to stop now. Anyway, you can grab the Galaxy Note 20 Ultra in a choice of 3 different colours. This is the Mystic Bronze Hero coloration, but you can also grab it in Mystic Black or Mystic White. And I've got to say, personally, I'm a fan of that Mystic Bronze coloration. It's kind of rose goldy almost, but not quite. It's definitely a bit different from your bog standard white and black anyway. And it is quite divisive. I can perfectly understand that. I was on the Tech Radar podcast this week, and half of the panel loved it, half the panel hated it. So yeah, not for everyone, but you've got the white and black options if you want something a bit more run-of-the-mill. And the Note 20 Ultra is the most traditional of the 2 Note 20 devices as far as the design is concerned anyway, because once again, you get the edge-to-edge, slightly curved finish, something that Samsung has definitely become known for, that's for sure. And as well as that Victus glass, you've also got a nice bit of IP68 water and dust resistance as well. So anyway, getting the Note 20 Ultra fired up now. It's going to get it all set up, and then we'll take a full on tour of the rest of the hardware and the software. Oh, and as I'm sticking my SIM card in this bad boy, it's also worth pointing out that the Galaxy Note 20 Ultra is a dual SIM device. You can stick 2 SIMs in there at once. Otherwise, that second slot is used for micro SD memory cards. You don't have to worry about spunking up an extra £100 for that 512 gig model. You can just slap in a micro SD instead. I believe that memory cards up to 1 terabyte are supported. All right, so the Note 20 Ultra is all set up and ready for action. And of course, as you would expect, it's Android 10, the latest version of Android, with a nice bit of Samsung's OneUI slathered on top. And that, as you can see, just kind of changes up the look and the feel, adds a few bonus features on there, including, of course, good old Bixby support. You can do a respectable amount of customization as always. You've got a full selection of Samsung themes, of course, to choose between. And thank God, yes, there is a swipe down for notification panel option in there, because let's face it, my thumb ain't getting anywhere near the top of the Note 20 Ultra's mighty display. I've actually done a full OneUI tips and tricks guide as well when the S20 and the S20 Plus and all those were launched as well. So go check that out for an in-depth look at some of the best Samsung features squirreled away on here. There's quite a lot of good stuff, definitely well worth checking out. You've once again got a fingerprint sensor built into that mighty display. It's an ultrasonic scanner, so as you can see, nice and fast and responsive, and hopefully should prove accurate. Now you can also get some face recognition on the go as well. So it's going to register my rather haggard, sweaty looking face. Oh, face recognition not working. That's a good start. Let's try that again. As you can see, they're fully customizable as well. So you can require your eyes to be open so nobody can just hold the phone to your face as you're sleeping or something like that, and get into it sneakily that way. And let's just give that a quick testing out, see how responsive it is. Yep, there we go, into not the fastest round, but you know, I've got those security measures on, so I'd rather it took a little bit longer and made sure it was me rather than just going straight into it. And unlike the bog standard Note 20, here on the Note 20 Ultra you've got built-in 5G support as standard as well, so fully future-proofed, and a good bit of Wi-Fi 6 as well, so basically connectivity, not a problem. This thing will be faster than Usain Bolt with a firework bunged up his anus. But of course, if you're going to buy the Note 20 Ultra over the likes of the S20, the S20 Plus, you want to be doing it because of this little bad boy here, the S Pen stylus. Just give it a little poke, it pops on out, and then you can unsheath it. And as you can see there, the actual S Pen design hasn't really changed much over previous incarnations. It's still nice and thin, very light indeed, very comfortable to wield. And when you do yank the S Pen out of that bottom hole, you'll see this little icon pop up on screen. Just give that a little tap, and as usual, you've got shortcuts to all of your applicable apps. And of course, that's fully customizable as well. Just dive into the settings. You can see you can set exactly what shortcuts do pop up. And you can also see exactly what happens when you do pull that S Pen out. So for instance, you can open the Air command, you can create a note instantly, or just do bugger all. The design might not have changed, but the S Pen has been upgraded from last year's model, so now you've got a latency of just 9 milliseconds, down from around 40 on the last generation. That's ideal for your sketch and hijinks. It really does feel impressively natural here on the Note 20 Ultra when you swish that ultra fine tip on the display, besides the fact that of course it's a much smoother effort than paper. And yes, unfortunately I've got about as much talent for drawing as I do for anything else, really, to be honest. And all those previous S Pen features are back in action here on the Note 20 Ultra, including good old air actions of course. So for instance, at any point, all you got to do is press down the little button on the S Pen and make a little gesture, and you can go back, for instance. You can also go straight back home, you can open up your recent apps, all of the good stuff. And it is all nice and intuitive, if admittedly not really any quicker than just using your finger to do the exact same thing. And for me personally, I find that scribbling down notes as opposed to just typing them out on the virtual keyboard isn't quite as fast or intuitive. But you know what? If you want to get scribbling, you want to get sketchy, you want to get creative, then definitely the S Pen is a fantastic tool. And you've got some nifty new features here in the latest Notes app as well, including the ability to straighten up any wonky text, and even better, the ability to record audio at the same time as your scribbling notes, which would be really handy for interviews, lectures, things like that. But of course, that 6.9-inch dynamic AMOLED display isn't just for scribbling on all day long, it's also perfect for kicking back with a bit of Disney, Netflix, YouTube, whatever you fancy. You've got WQHD plus maximum resolution on this bad boy, so even though it's a big spacious panel, all of your images will look nice and crisp. Those colours really do pop on the default vivid mode, but as always you can dive into the display settings and have a bit of a tinker if you don't fancy those super poppy hues. You've got full HDR10 Plus support on there as well, so HDR content on the likes of Netflix will play with that beautiful sharp contrast and those nice natural looking colours too. It's definitely here where the Note 20 Ultra starts to show that it is a really premium device for sure. And yeah, sure, when you've got full screen in the likes of YouTube and Disney Plus, you do get the selfie cam orifice staring back at you dead center, but it is absolutely tiny. It really is like a little pinprick. And if you use your phone outside a lot, so for instance you actually live in a nice sunny country rather than the UK, then boy will the Note 20 Ultra do you just fine, because on maximum brightness this thing could actually blind a human being. I mean, I can't even point this in the general vicinity of my face because I do actually feel my pale northern skin burn into a crisp. As with previous Samsung flagship smartphones, however, you will see that you are set at the Full HD Plus screen resolution by default. You can bump that up to WQHD Plus, but when you do so, you'll find that if you then dive into the motion smoothness area, you've no longer got that option for adaptive motion smoothness, so it can't bump up to 120 Hz. It is stuck at that 60 Hz limit. And as you would expect from a premium smartphone like the Galaxy Note 20 Ultra, you do of course get a stereo speaker setup as well. Let's just bump it up to maximum volume and test it.
Subscribe and ding that notifications bell and all that other YouTube bollocks too. Cheers.
So yeah, pretty good. You do get a powerful output from that top earpiece speaker as well as the bottom speaker as well, and the clarity remains strong as well, so you'll be able to happily enjoy a bit of YouTube, Netflix, whatever, in a really noisy environment. Like if you're outside, there's trains going by, cars going by, whatever, no worries. And you've got all the usual audio smarts as well from the Galaxy Note 20 Ultra for Bluetooth 5 support, of course. If you're going to sound quality and effects, you can turn on a bit of Dolby Atmos support as well, which is set to auto by default, but you can actually manually choose if you're watching a movie, listen to some tunes, whatever. And there's even an equalizer for you to piddle about with, so you can bump up the bass, yeah! Now, if you do purchase your Note 20 Ultra here in good old Blighty, you will unfortunately get Samsung's own Exynos 990 chipset stuffed in there instead of the new Snapdragon 865. I say new, it's not that new. The 865 Plus has overtaken it, but whatever. it's still better than the Exynos. I did just run a bit of Geekbench 5 action, as you can see here. It's got rather low actually on the single core score there, 481. The multi-core is about what I expected, but you know what, it's still fine for your everyday shenanigans. So yeah, we'll be able to run basically any app that you want, as you'd expect. Get gaming on any game. I'm going to be giving a lot of testing to the old Call of Duties and the PUBGs over the weekend, so stay tuned for my 3 days with the Note 20 Ultra to see how it handles all of that, but I'm expecting it to do rather well, especially as you get a proper full-on 12 gigs of RAM stuffed inside this thing. As for the battery, well, it's a 4,500 milliamp cell. It's not one of the biggest around, but hopefully should keep you going all day. Again, touch wood. The Exynos isn't the most efficient chipset. It's not quite as good as the Snapdragon 865. Again, you got 25-watt fast charge on here, so not one of the, again, the nippiest around, certainly as far as the premium smartphones are concerned, but you'll get around half charge in 30 minutes according to Samsung, so I'll be testing that out. You've got 15-watt wireless charging on there as well, and you do have reverse wireless charging too, or as Samsung likes to term it, wireless power share. And that should come in handy if you get the likes of the Galaxy Buds, which support the wireless charging, so you can just slap them on the back of the phone with the power share turned on, and that'll just help to give them a bit of a charge on the fly. So let's finish up with a squint at that triple lens rear camera setup here on the Note 20 Ultra. And as you can see, it's quite a fat mama, that camera chassis slapped here on the arse end of the Note. It definitely juts out quite some way from that rear end. Now, while the likes of the Pixel camera app is nice and straightforward and streamlined, of course, here on the Galaxy Note 20 Ultra and most other Samsung smartphones, it is a bit of a cluttered affair, shall we say. It is rather feature-packed, all kinds of toggles and all sorts all over the place. Thankfully, you can just ignore the majority of them and simply point and shoot if you want, because the auto smarts are pretty decent usually. And what you've actually got to begin with is a 108 megapixel primary lens with optical image stabilization built in. You've got phase detection autofocus and a bit of laser autofocus on there as well, so it's super quick at focus. As you can see there, slap your hand in front, it immediately locks onto whatever is in front of the camera. So really handy if you've got, for instance, hyperactive children who are super high on sugar. At any point you can swap to the 12 megapixel ultra wide angle lens with a quick tap here, and as you can see you get a nice wide view of everything there. Very handy if you want quite a dramatic shot, if you're trying to shoot a cityscape, something like that. Alternatively, you also have a proper optical zoom here on the Galaxy Note 20 Ultra as well. It's a 12 megapixel telephoto lens with a 5x optical zoom, perfect for capturing Totaro's wide-eyed stare. And as you can see here, you can quickly jump up to 50x hybrid zoom as well if you really want to zoom. Oh my god. You got the usual variety of toggles and filters and everything to mess around with if you like. And of course you got all those bonus features that we know and love, like good old single take, which was introduced in the S20 series earlier this year. And this just allows you to shoot a bunch of video and also various photos between 5 to 15 seconds worth in total. It's now fully customizable. So it's quite handy for those sort of action moments where you're a bit unsure whether to shoot lots of photos or a bit of video. As you can see, it just captures a variety of different efforts, which you can then either save or dismiss. And you've got a good variety of other bonus modes you can play around with as well. Some of the better stuff like the night mode, quite handy if you're going to be shooting in low light, just captures a bunch of different exposure shots and melds them together. You've got full on pro mode as well, which is really helpful if you want to mess around with the likes of the autofocus, the white balance, the ISO levels. It's not quite as smart as the photo pro mode on the Sony Xperia 1 Mark II, but it's definitely right up there. But where the Samsung smartphones always excel for me as far as the camera tech goes is definitely when shooting video. In your standard video mode, perfectly good. You can once again drop between the primary lens, the telephoto lens, and that ultra wide angle lens on demand, no worries. And you can shoot up to 4K resolution at 60 frames per second as well. You've got the usual super steady modes and all of that sort of shenanigans too. But where the Note 20 Ultra really sets itself apart from rivals is with the Pro Video mode. And like the Pro Photo mode, this once again allows you to mess around with all of those settings like the white balance and get a very precise kind of effect. However, where things really get next gen is when you dive into the aspect ratio / resolution settings, and as you can see, you can shoot up to 8K resolution footage at either 16:9 or a stretched cinematic 21:9 aspect ratio. So if you fancy yourself as the next Chris Nolan or whatever, you can definitely get yourself out there, and hopefully you'll be able to shoot some really good looking footage with this thing. And I really love the slick zoom controls as well. You can very slowly pan into your subject, or you can go and do a bit of a crash zoom effort if you like. And Samsung has provided some strong audio smarts here as well, so as you can see it records an Omni 360 degree directional feed as it is, but you can have it recording just your commentary, or you can have it recording just what's actually happening in front of the camera. You can even hook up to a Bluetooth microphone if you want to provide some really nice clear audio as well. Let me tell you though, I've only been using the Note 20 Ultra's camera for about sort of 5-10 minutes, and I haven't even really been using it to capture any photo or video, and the phone is definitely definitely getting rather toasty, certainly around the top edge here, around sort of where the camera chassis is housed. Definitely have to keep tabs on that one, that's for sure. And last up, before we call it a night, just flick around to that 10 megapixel front-facing selfie camera as well, which can of course be used to capture those beautiful, gorgeous shots of your lovely mug. And yeah, once again, you've got the standard mode or wide angle mode, which doesn't really make much difference at all. I'm not even sure why that's a thing. And if you want to shoot a good bit of vlogging action with that front facing camera as well, as you can see, you can bump it all the way up to Ultra HD level at 60 frames per second. Again, just like with that rear camera in the video auto mode. So great stuff. So there you have it. That in a nutshell is Samsung's new Galaxy Note 20 Ultra. An absolute beast of a smartphone, certainly in terms of dimensions and in terms of price as well. But hopefully there's enough premium features and tech packed in there to justify it, certainly for people who really, really like bit of S Pen action. So are you tempted by the Note 20 Ultra? It'd be great to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. Please do poke, subscribe and ding that notifications bell, and stay tuned for my full 3 days with the Note 20 Ultra to see what I think of the gaming chops, the battery life, the camera tech and all of that good stuff. And most important, have a lovely weekend everybody. Cheers, love you.